Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. This is This Week in Metals. Peter Thomas is with me as he always is. What do you know?
I know it's snowing in Chicago and it's going into the negative numbers, so we're glad we're working from home.
Yeah, we have a pretty temperate climate here in Denver for the most part, but
Right.
it's 5 degrees right now. That's pretty chilly for us.
Pretty chilly for you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember skiing Aspen and getting up to the ski lift and it said 31 degrees, perfect powder, and then a big Yahoo written across the board. I mean, you guys have some of the nicest skiing weather there is. It's just the perfect time.
Today is not that day.
Day it ain't.
No,
Okay.
no. I think my sub-zero skiing days are behind me, and I've had a lot of them because I went to college in Gunnison, which is
Oh, sure,
one
sure.
of the coldest places you could possibly go because
I
of the
know. Well,
temperature
that's why
inversion.
you ski with a helmet.
Yeah, keep your
Even though
head
it
warm.
isn't as much fun, it's so much warmer.
Right. Hey, let's jump into the markets.
Oh, absolutely. First off, one of our guys who people might not know or have met from our staff, which we have a lot of people in the metals, is John Miles. And John Miles is kind of does our stats. And he's been calling up to all of our dealers in Canada. And we do a lot of business in Canada. And I wanted to share with you pretty much his amalgamation, if you would. And for Canada, in which he said that Canada's catching up. They had fallen behind on their U.S. deliveries, but their Canadian mint products, they're catching up. Deliveries are coming in earnest, which I thought was terrific. They're still saying 3 to 4 weeks out on silver up in Canada, and they have a lot of producing silver mines up there. So I was kind of surprised they're that far behind. Also, two of our other biggest dealers down there said that they felt that the dust was settling a little bit. That's a quote too from one of our wholesalers, and he said, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword because he says some people are paying as much as 20% over on silver right now. So Canada is tight. Our dealers up there are seeing delays, and so there's really no difference. But that is a report from our guys and bringing you up to speed on what's happening to our north.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing the same thing. I'm hearing still at least 2 weeks out on RCM stuff, and
Okay,
then
we're out Canadian Mint, guys.
yeah,
Yep.
and we're in pretty decent shape, all things considered, from the USMint. So we do have product to sell. ZanerPreciousMetals.com is the place to go. So
Right.
while we might not be able to get you Canadian stuff for a little bit, we're pretty well set on U.S. Mint stuff
U.S.
at
stuff.
this point,
All right,
and some other
let's put it this way: we're keeping up.
we're keeping up.
We are opening a lot of accounts, and a lot of the compliance matching phone numbers. People have moved, and all of a sudden they discovered that they're putting the wrong phone number in, and their accounts getting kicked out, and all the usual technical stuff. But we getting product out, and to all of our guys, be persistent, and we will get it out to you.
Yeah, we'll help you through the process.
Yeah,
So gold last week was only up a 0.5%.
right.
It was an inside week, so generally consolidative trading. What's interesting is it's the market remains fairly buoyant despite 5 consecutive days of ETF outflows. That's through Thursday.
And
Um,
big numbers too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So year to date, the ETFs are down about 500, a little bit more than 500,000 ounces. The investors seem to have,
Taking some profit.
well, taken some profit, maybe
Sure.
losing a little bit of interest,
Yeah.
given the continued run up in the stock market and so forth. So it's
XLV is drawing some people in though. We're seeing a little money going into the silver side.
yeah, yeah. We'll talk
Yeah,
about silver in a
sure.
second here.
Absolutely.
Um,
I'm just saying, those are the technical numbers. Pete is one of the best you're going to see on the charts, and I'm going to give you a real quick global paintbrush here, if you would, because we trade around the world. And right now, Venezuela is very interesting. Their socialism is working so well there. Their 2020 gold reserve numbers were released by the central bank, and they were down another 19 tons, which means that the entire nation only has 86 tons, and they're one of the largest producers of gold, which puts them at a 50-year low. So we know what they're paying their bills with.
Right.
On top of that, Perez looks like he's going to win the election here in Ecuador, which he's another socialist left winger who is anti mining and he wants to stop all mining in his country, put everybody out of work, stop all the revenues coming in. And Peru is partying, man. They are about to become the South American kings. Thank God we have connections in Peru. We will be able to get silver out of Peru while these other countries let their people starve. And, I hope it doesn't get as bad in Ecuador as it did in Venezuela, where they were eating animals in the zoo. But they start closing down all the work they could get there. So that's what's happening globally in Central and South America.
Yeah, in India, we continue to see um, hints of improvement in
Yep.
physical
Yep.
demand, jewelry demand. That's encouraging. The price of gold is down about 16% in rupee from last year's high.
Well, that's very
Now
interesting.
it's not like they're piling back into the market yet, but
Right.
like I've been saying for a number of weeks now, we
Oh,
might
sure.
need a little additional pullback in gold to bring the Indian buyers back in. As for
Little early, Pete, to get numbers for Chinese New Year, correct?
yeah. So Chinese New Year started at the end of last week. Was the
Right,
first day. It's a 15-day festival though, so
right.
it goes on for 2 weeks and ends with the Lantern Festival. So
Uh-huh.
there's plenty of time for ongoing gift giving. It's
Right.
going to be better than last year. There's no
Oh, it
question
has to
about
be.
that. But
Yeah.
the bar's pretty low.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It has to
Because
be. Yeah.
last Chinese New Year was, or Lunar New Year was like right when China started locking down.
Yeah.
So it's going to be better. We've seen pretty steady quarterly increases in physical demand in China
Yep.
since that Q1 2020 low.
Which is a disaster.
And
Yeah.
again, it's not like they're piling back in. But I think that much like India, I think that there's pent up demand there, and we just need to find the right price to bring them back in. So we'll see
Okay.
how that plays out.
That's
Um,
terrific. I think that's a great world market overview too. Thank you.
yeah. So let's talk domestic real quick. Te-
Absolutely.
Tesla, announced that they had bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin,
Yes.
and that was obviously the headline grabbing item. And Bitcoin went to new all time highs,
But
and
did you hear what he referred to it as? Micro investment.
yeah, well, for
I mean,
when you have a market cap like Tesla
I,
has,
I guess.
1.5 billion is small
I,
change.
I mean, you go, yo, Katie, could you open the bottom drawer and get the petty cash? I'm gonna go buy some Bitcoin.
Right.
I mean, and he is, as I understand it, talking about doing a $1.5 billion dip of his toe into the gold market too. Is what the
Right. So that
rumors
was
are.
that was sort of the underreported or
Right.
underemphasized aspect of that new policy that they have,
Yeah.
is that it also basically authorizes the company to buy physical gold bullion
Right.
and gold ETFs. And we haven't seen it yet,
We have
or
not
maybe
seen it.
yeah, maybe we have, and it hasn't been
Elon, call
revealed.
me. I will tighten you up, baby. Don't worry
That's
about a
right.
thing. As much as you need, we'll have it at your
You
doorstep,
know,
or we'll
interesting.
open your own vault for you.
Yeah, interesting thing kind of overall is it tells me that here is a major US corporation getting out of dollars.
Yeah. Well, that's
This
happening a
is
lot.
reserve diversification,
Right.
and Tesla won't be the last. There are other companies that I think see the writing on the wall with regards to the dollar, and there are other asset classes to hold that are very liquid, and better than cash, arguably. So, uh, I think it just,
Never hold your reserves in cash. Always have it in something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, my sense is that the general feel in the gold market is still sort of risk on, which I think could weigh on the yellow metal for the short term.
Okay.
But I think again, if we get a little bit lower than the recent lows, that hopefully the physical buyers in Asia jump back in the market.
Yeah, my boy, when they come in strong. So
Yeah,
let's hope so. Let's move over to silver and
yeah,
we had something very interesting happen in silver, and that it just sort of drifted under the wire. Moody's Credit, which gives a rating to about everything you can imagine, and I've been to their building, and it's amazing. And they said they just came out and raised the lending values of underlying silver. So, for example, if you're a bank and you're holding 30 tons of silver in your vault, they just went from 16 to the low 20s on a valuation of the silver you're holding, which is an enormous jump. And I didn't see it anywhere. So be aware of the fact that if you're holding silver, you can borrow more against it. And Moody's has always been, spot on, controversial now and again, but I think that's a very interesting thing to throw into the pot here.
that is interesting. So
Yeah,
last week, silver was up 1.6%. So it had a pretty good week. It was still an
yeah,
inside week, not surprising given the range that we saw in the previous week. Um, but
yeah, $5 swing.
from a technical perspective, you look at the chart, and what jumps out is the big potential double top. But I'll tell you, I'm
Yeah,
not worried. Um, I think the fundamentals are still incredibly strong for silver. If you believe that the global economy is in recovery mode from COVID, as vaccines get more broadly distributed, economies will start firing on all cylinders again, and demand for silver is going to remain
talking about
robust.
another 200 million doses coming out here shortly. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed, everyone.
So
And I got my jab.
yeah,
Get on there, make your reservations. Don't spread this disease. Get busy, get us on our feet. Everybody's got to pitch in.
right, and because it'll help silver. So the confirmation point for that big huge double top around $30 is 2164. So again, I'm not worried about it at this point. Um, the Silver Institute is expecting
Great
demand
source.
in 2021 to be up 11% to
Yeah,
over a billion ounces of silver.
yeah.
Which,
That's a very very critical stat, and it is from a reliable source. Would you repeat that number again, Pete? That's a
Yeah,
very big
they're
deal.
expecting a jump in demand of 11%
That's
this
huge.
year to 1.025 billion ounces, which would
Billion
be,
with a B ounces of new consumption. I mean,
yeah,
that silver does. I'm not too concerned about silver falling back here. I mean, the demand is amazing.
yeah, that would be an 8-year high, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Um, Again, the demand side from investment is a little bit troubling because through Thursday last week we had seen 7 consecutive days of ETF outflows.
Yeah.
But we're still positive year to date to the tune
Okay.
of about 90 million ounces. So that's a 10% increase from a year ago. So again, broadly speaking, I remain favorable silver. And
Okay.
part of me, says, you run it up to $30 like that. Don't you have to go back up and try it again?
Well, I agree with you. I think so. I think so. But look at we'll see.
Yeah.
The our side of the fence, we'd speculate. Well, our guys that consume it, that use it, our miners, our refiners, our recyclers, are having a hard time finding product, and when they find product, it's snapped up. We know that from our side. Okay, we see that every day. So right now, I'm bullish because all the reality is there. I mean, as far as the paper silver goes, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't trade it. I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah. Platinum was the star of last week for sure.
PGMs were rocking, no
Yeah.
question about it. Right?
Platinum was up 11.4%. It was the second consecutive higher weekly close.
Yep.
Set a more than 6-year high at 1270.94. Remember last week, I noted the measuring objective off of the ascending triangle was $124 higher. That measuring objective is 1278.09. We didn't quite make it there, but it still
Nice
looks
call,
pretty
though.
good.
Nice
Um,
call.
my next
Now,
level beyond that is 1428.5, and
beautiful.
that's halfway back of the big 2008
Ye-
sell-off. From
yep.
remember when it went from 22.99 all the way down to
Unfortunately, I do
732
remember it.
$732. Well, we're almost
but
halfway back.
here's the thing. Let's throw in some reality here on fossil fuel vehicles. Fossil fuel vehicle market has had the worst demand last quarter since 1985. It's just been horrid. All right. But here's something interesting. The last two quarters each have been up over 19% in EV buying. I mean, it's sort of like, whoa, we're up 30% on the underside of the market in electrical vehicles. So Chevy and all of these other major firms that are going over to electric vehicles definitely looked further down the line and are snapping these things up, which is why you're seeing platinum prices go up, demand for nickel taking off. There is no tin. We're completely out of tin. We can't find any. So basically, the underlying demand being brought about by this tremendous surge in electric vehicles is supporting copper, aluminum, nickel, lithium, all the metals that we've been telling you to get into for the last couple of years. If you are a refiner or recycler, start adding them to your inventory. It is paying off now.
Yeah. Chinese auto sales in January were up 25% year on year. And EVs were a big part of that.
Yes.
So,
And
as
now
that
they include trucks in their number, though, don't they?
I think they do. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're right.
yeah. So it's kind of a little bit skewed by compared to our numbers, but that's China too,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Palladium was had a decent week as well. It was up
yeah.
almost 2%, 1.7%.
It's a nice return.
Second higher weekly close, set a 3-week high at 2392 and a half. Um, just kind of still in that big range that was established in March, but kind of
Yep.
holding in the upper half of it, which I think is encouraging. And even though the focus seems to be switching to EVs,
Uh-huh.
there's still plenty of demand for internal combustion
Absolutely.
vehicles as well, and tighter emission standards means bigger palladium load,
Yep.
or
Absolutely correct.
platinum.
Yeah,
So
and platinum as well. Yeah, you got to throw that in
yeah.
there, and we're going to continue to see it. And there's millions and millions and millions of vehicles on the road, and no matter what anyone happens to think, we're going to still need crude oil because all of those things spin and they need lubrication so they don't burn up while they're moving. So we're going to have demand for crude as long as we're here.
So while we're talking about autos, it's worth mentioning that there is a global semiconductor shortage that is impacting the auto market and other sectors as well, computer and other technology sectors as
Which we
well.
said was going to happen about 8 months ago on our show.
Right. And so in the United States alone, they're anticipating that the production loss is going to be measured in the hundreds of thousands of vehicles just because they
Wow.
can't get enough
They can't get
semiconductors.
enough parts. Yeah.
Apparently, the Biden administration is going to try and address this. Semiconductors are obviously a strategically essential
Yeah, I saw that
product.
they were going to address that, and I really hope he gets aggressive on it because it's definitely the last thing we want to do is be waiting for China to offload product,
Yeah, so it's impacting Chinese auto production as well. Auto production globally
Yeah.
is under some pressure because of the absence of semiconductors in the market. So we'll see if the
We'll
manufacturers
see,
can.
look at, hey, you talk semiconductors, you have to pay attention to South Korea. They've really had a pretty rough time recently. This would be a real literal shot in the arm for them. And hopefully, one of our strongest allies in Asia will step up and start to fill some of that void.
Yeah. Well, let's end on copper.
Sure.
Up a whopping 4.5% last week. Again, a second higher weekly close in a row. Set an 8-year high at 380 and a quarter. So I mean, it's the highest copper's been since October of 2012. Just the market looks good, and
Market
every
does look good.
every big number higher, I like $4 more and more.
All right, no eye rolling. I'm gonna have to do some math. Please stick with me. I please forgive me, but it's what I have to do.
20
Math
cents.
stats. I got some numbers from mining.com, which is a terrific source for us in the business. They really do the research. Copper demand, yet Friday is officially tripled over the last 50 years. So we're at all-time highs as far as consumption of copper over the last 50 years, which Bill Gates' number says that we double every 40 years, and copper looks like it triples every 50. That's a pretty amazing number.
That is amazing indeed.
Yeah.
And it seems like the miners are going to have to ramp up to satisfy that demand, and the recyclers.
Well, when COVID first broke out, we had the leading expert in the world on COVID on our show. We did a special for the miners on how to protect themselves, what to expect, and they really, we talked to Dr. Davis here on a platinum special, if you remember, Pete, where he said that the miners and the mining union and the mining owners were all working very closely to protect their miners and to protect the people going in to produce the product. So the relationship is strong. The guys are there. They're doing their best. I believe that we're going to start to see bigger numbers and really, really soon.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So as we look ahead to this week, Wednesday's the big day this week. We've got
Yeah, it's huge.
PPI out.
You must have a
Expectations are
page of stuff there.
plus 0.4.
Yeah.
Inflation's a big thing.
Yep.
The inflation expectations have really ramped up in recent weeks. So we'll see. And yet, CPI last week was it met expectations, but we
Yeah.
saw a month-on-month drop from 1.6% year on year to 1.4%. So it's
Okay.
not showing up in the numbers yet, but you and I know. I mean, you don't need to look any further than the stock market, the commodities,
Hey, wait a minute. You want to
housing
talk about inflation? You don't have to go any further than your grocery store. Look at your fruits and
meat
vegetables. Just
prices. Yeah,
walk down the aisle with your cart and you go, what just happened?
housing,
So
energy. I mean, oil's at
60, right?
yeah, right around
Yeah.
$60, and so we've been
Yeah.
talking about that for a while. So
We
we'll
went from 0 to 60, man. That's I would say that's a return on
right.
investment. That's like winning the lotto.
Yeah, if you were smart enough to buy it 0.
Yeah, yeah. It takes a lot to step up to that plate, right?
Yeah. So that'll be an important number this week. Retail sales also out on Wednesday, plus
Right.
0.9% is the expectations. Industrial production, plus
Oh,
0.4 is what the market is expecting.
not a bad
And then
number.
we'll also get the FOMC minutes. So
Minutes, yeah, which will say
Wednesday's
nothing.
the big day. Yes,
Yeah.
same as it ever was. Foot on the gas.
Now Janice is just gonna go, I'm not gonna do anything. Okay, thank you. It'll be the
Well,
end of that
she's
meeting.
Treasury Secretary now. You're talking Jay Powell.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell is he's still there, shall we say.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. Okay.
So with that, we should have a pretty good week ahead
Yeah,
here.
should be
And
fun.
with that, I will say, have a
Remember, we
great
have a
trading week.
holiday shortened
Yep.
trading day on Monday, guys. Don't forget if you call in a panic because you're not seeing quotes, it's because the market's closed. So remember that. Shortened week usually makes for a lot more excitement going into the end of the week because people are trying to catch up on their positions. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Excellent. Well, I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. Have a great trading week.
Pete Thomas in Chicago. Thanks for dropping in as always.